Have you ever imagined if your childhood passed in a place where you couldn't even make your own decisions, where you weren't called a person, but a property? One such child's name was Frederick Douglass. 1820s, America. A country founded in the name of freedom, but filled with people living in chains. And among them was Frederick, a little boy with just one dream: freedom. Frederick was born in February 1818 on a plantation in Maryland. His mother's name was Harriet Bailey, but no one knew who his father was. It was said that maybe his master was his father, but in that world, a slave had no meaning for the word father or mother. Frederick was separated from his mother at a very young age. She used to come secretly at night to see him and leave before sunrise. And one night, she came and never returned again. Little Frederick never even understood what the word mother truly meant. Life on the plantation meant pain, beatings, and hunger. A small boy, barefoot, half naked, working in the fields, sometimes he got a little piece of bread. That was all he had to survive. But something was different inside Frederick. A question. Who am I? Why am I beneath them? That same question that burns inside every thinking mind. One day he was sent to Baltimore to serve a new master. There he met a kind and gentle woman named Sophia Old. She was the first person who treated Frederick like a human being. One day she began teaching him the alphabet, and that moment changed Douglass's life forever. But when her husband saw it, he shouted, "You are teaching a slave to read? If he learns to read, he will never be fit to be a slave again." From that day, lessons stopped, but inside Douglass, a fire for words had been lit. He started learning secretly, from street signs, from newspapers, from white children around him. He realized knowledge is power, and if he wanted freedom, he had to steal that power silently. As he grew older, the world's cruelty filled his heart. He saw people being whipped, families being torn apart and sold away, human beings treated like animals, only because of their skin color. Frederick once wrote, "Slavery not only whipped my back, it wounded my soul." But he didn't break. He grew stronger every single day. One day, he was sent to a cruel master, Edward Covey. Covey was known as the slave breaker. He broke people's spirits. Every day brought beatings, hunger, and humiliation. But one day, Douglass decided, not today. When Covey raised his hand again, Douglass grabbed it. For 2 hours they fought, and from that day on, Covey never dared touch him again. That was the moment when Frederick Douglass first felt, now there was only one thing on Douglass's mind. I am no longer a slave. I am a man. He tried many times and failed. Then, in 1838, at the age of 20, he made a daring plan. He borrowed a sailor's papers, disguised himself, and boarded a train. His heart was filled with fear, but his eyes with hope. After hours of travel, when the train reached New York City, Frederick Douglass was finally free. He later wrote, "When I stepped upon the soil of New York, I felt as if I were the happiest man alive." He had won his freedom, but to him, freedom meant more than personal escape. Douglass knew, now his voice must rise for those still in chains. He began giving speeches across towns, cities, and states. His voice was electric. A former slave, now standing before the world saying, "I am a human being too." People were stunned. A black man, so intelligent, so powerful a speaker. Some even refused to believe he had ever been enslaved. So Douglass decided to write his own story, Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, an American Slave, 1845. The book shook the world. Every page was soaked in truth, pain, strength, and the proof of human spirit. After the book's publication, Douglass's life was still a fugitive slave. So he sailed to Europe, England, Ireland, and Scotland. Crowds came in thousands to hear him speak, and the most beautiful thing, the people of England raised money and bought his freedom legally. From that day, Frederick Douglass became a completely free man. After returning home, he started his own newspaper, the North Star. Its slogan was, "Right is of no sex, truth is of no color," meaning truth and justice belong to no race, gender, or class. Douglass was no longer just fighting slavery. He began speaking for women's rights, for equality, and for education. He dreamed of a world where everyone stood equal. In the 1860s, when the American Civil War broke out, Douglass met President Abraham Lincoln. He demanded, "Let black men fight for their own freedom." His words had power. Soon, Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, the official declaration ending slavery in America. Frederick Douglass said, "I am one of those who have seen slavery and have tasted freedom." Even after the war ended, his fight continued. He spoke for rights, equality, and education for all. He served in several important government positions, as a U.S. Marshal and later as ambassador to Haiti. His speeches shook hearts. He used to say, "If there is no struggle, there is no progress." Even in his old age, his eyes carried the same fire. One evening, after giving a speech, he returned home, and in 1895, Frederick Douglass's heart stopped beating. But the story doesn't end there. Even today, when we talk about freedom, equality, and learning, Douglass's voice still echoes within us. A boy who learned to read, who stood up to his master, and a human who taught the world, "There is no weapon more powerful than knowledge." Frederick Douglass once said, "Once you learn to read, you will be forever free." And maybe that was the true message of his life. Freedom isn't just about breaking chains. Freedom is when a person learns to think, to learn, and to speak. If you liked this story, imagine how many such untold stories are still waiting to inspire us. Comment below and tell us, whose story should I tell next? I'm Global Now, and this was Frederick Douglass, the man who fought slavery with work.